Today on Get Clever, I'm going off script to take you for a sneak peek behind the scenes. I'm on beautiful Moreton Island with my crew. Meet Nick, the sound man, Monica, my producer, and Richie, my cameraman.
I got cockatoo here.
But this isn't a holiday. We're making TV, but it's not as glamorous as you might think. We've been up since 5 a.m. this morning, and we're driving to our first location. But the tail end of a cyclone and some unsealed sand roads are making this journey a bit scary. But I'm still excited to get there.
We've got 45 minutes to get here, but it's absolutely beautiful. We've seen birds of prey, we've seen lots of little shorebirds, and look at this, it's paradise.
But filming in paradise can be a bit distracting.
So we're out here at the lighthouse, and we've just seen a pod of dolphins just offshore. So Rich has got the drone out.
Richie might like the dolphins, but I'm not so sure.
And I'm here to face my fear of these suspicious clowns of the sea.
Along this side, you can see.
Well, okay, maybe they're not so bad after all. Facing my fear of dolphins was easy, but pretending to be seasick in the name of science was quite nauseating.
I think I'm gonna have to vomit.
I mean, who doesn't love a good story? And just when you think you've got to the end of a great day's filming, the producer pulls out the hardest story yet.
Sand dunes are massive piles of sand formed by the wind.
Okay, Sean, back down one more time. I just need the drone shot.
Really? Oh man, this is way harder than a workout at the gym. My legs are burning. And it's still raining. So when I finally get to do the fun bit...
I broke the board. Oh well, I guess that didn't work. Gonna have to roll down now.
So at the end of a few very long days, it was hardly surprising that I started to lose it a little.
And it wasn't only our minds that we lost. My producer dropped the camera while we were snorkeling.
All the way to the bottom of the ocean. Landed on a beautiful piece of coral, videoed it from right up close. Who saved the day? Me. I saved the day, swam all the way down to the bottom, risked my life, grabbed the GoPro, came all the way back up to the top. Legend!
Back on those diving animals. I want to know more.
Aquatic animals like penguins, whales, and turtles have a special protein that stores and holds on to oxygen in their muscles called myoglobin. It holds oxygen in their blood really, really well. This means they don't need to keep coming up to the surface for air to refill their lungs. Instead, they can stay underwater for a long time and dive really deep. Just to be clear, we aren't talking about fish who breathe the oxygen dissolved in water through their gills.
Hi, I'm Gavin Phillips. I'm the Seed Bank Officer for the Royal Botanic Gardens based at the Australian Plant Bank at Mount Annan in Western Sydney. The Seed Bank is effectively a large vault where we keep seeds of all different species of plants. It gives us an insurance collection of seeds in case of bad events like fires or droughts or extinction. So we can do research into those seeds and we can grow them again to put them back out in the wild. As a Seed Bank Officer, my main role is running the collection program here in New South Wales. I go all over the state to collect seeds of rare and threatened plants, but also a lot of the common trees and things that are commonly used in restoration projects. I've been from the southwest corner and the ancient lake beds of Mungo National Park to the Strzelecki Desert in the corner country of the northwest. I do a lot of work in the rainforest of the north coast and even go down quite often to the alpine areas of Mount Kosciuszko, so it's quite diverse. I have a custom-fitted four-wheel drive to do my job that allows me to get out into those wilderness areas. A lot of the time when we're out, we'll be out in rain or flies or muddy areas or inaccessible wilderness areas looking for some of the rarest plants that we know of. Sometimes that involves large multi-day hikes, or long forward driving adventures out into the wilderness to do that. Sometimes we'll be out in, say, swampy areas or like backwaters and mangroves and things like that. And you can be in up to your knees in mud or wet terrain, and it can be quite nasty sometimes. Whenever I go out into the wilderness areas to collect, I always have another team member with me as a safety protocol, just so in case anything happens, I'm not on my own. And I always have comms and satellite phones and distress beacons and whatnot as well. Today, I haven't had to be rescued, and I'm kind of proud of the fact that I go around those wilderness areas and haven't had to call on help just yet. I'm mainly out in the field doing my work, but occasionally I come back to the lab and I'll do things like seed cleaning, processing ready for packaging to go into the vault, and some of the growing of the seeds to grow into we can grow small plants that can be planted out again in the gardens. Typically for a good conservation collection, the guideline is 10 to 20,000 seeds in one collection. However, a lot of the time we're not able to do that, especially with very rare or threatened species, in which case we tend to try and take smaller amounts, and we might work at something like 10% of what's available, so that we're not taking so much that the plant can't continue to reproduce in the wild. All plants are different in terms of the timing for the seeds. Most plants, however, we would try to get them at peak fruit ripeness, which is when the plant is naturally letting the seed drop to the ground. One of the more fun pieces of equipment I get to use is I've got a slingshot, which is used for taking down branches off of large trees. Sometimes it's the only way we can access large trees safely to be able to get to the seeds. To transport the seeds back to the plant bank from faraway locations, there's two ways of doing it. For things that are fleshy fruited that we need fresh, like rainforest fruits, we have the fridges. Otherwise, things like the drier things like eucalypts, banksias, wattle seeds, we can just put them in calico bags, and we want them to dry out because then that way the fruits release the seeds. So they've actually started to do some of the processing for us before we get back to the lab. The most challenging thing about my job would actually be being away from my family. As much as I do travel quite a lot some years, and having a young family at home, that can be a bit of a challenge. I love the fact I get to see lots of Australian natives actually out in their environment, so out in the wild. I particularly love working with our rare and threatened flora that most people don't actually get to interact with, and to see the different amazing things that are out there. Sometimes we run into native animals out and about. I see lots of native birds. We also see lots of feral animals too. Working on threatened species, you see a lot of the impacts of things like feral horses, deer, pigs. We've come across wild dogs. I love my job because I feel like I'm really contributing to real-world conservation, being out there and getting seeds and plant material of some of our rarest species so that we can actually go back, find out more about them, and continue to see those species grow into the future.
There are some animals that can stay underwater for a seriously long time. On average, humans can only hold their breath for 1 or 2 minutes. Emperor penguins can dive up to 500 meters underwater and hold their breath for nearly half an hour. They do so via slowing their heart rate to 10 beats a minute and rely on their oxygen-filled myoglobin stores. They're known for hunting for prey in the deep ocean, around 2,500 meters, which is 2.5 kilometers.
That's amazing. That's so deep in such a long time.
I'm here with 17-year-old Georgia Poiner, who is a wildlife photographer and also a passionate conservationist. Georgia, what does a normal day in your life look like?
Well, I guess a normal day for me is getting up around 5:30 to go to squad training before school, and then coming back, get a mad rush, eating about a kilo of food, and going to school. And then I guess once school finishes, I normally come back home and I'll probably might go for a kayak or a fish or a run or a cycle or something along those lines, just try and keep busy.
And when you're going out on your kayak, are you taking photos of what's around you?
Yeah, of course. So where I live right next to a lake, so it's really easy access just to go out all the time after school. And there's a lot of different wildlife, a lot of different bird species, and we've got water dragons and a lot of fish. And at night, it's really cool. You can wander around the lake, and we get little dumpling squid and even blue ringed octopuses and all sorts of groovy things. So.
And one of your passions is the ocean, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I love both spearfishing and fishing. Over the years, I've always loved sort of snorkeling and gone into free diving, and spearfishing is just a really sustainable method of being able to catch your own food. And as someone who is really active, I eat a lot of food, so it's really handy being able to go out and choose which species you eat. I guess if you know an area and you know what's in that area, only taking a certain amount from that one spot and then maybe moving to a different spot and taking one from there, and yeah. I don't even have to catch anything. It's just good being in the water and being able to witness and experience all those beautiful things. So,
what do you love about being in the ocean?
I guess there's a lot of things for me, like the wildlife, the animals that live there. But I guess when I'm diving as well, it takes a lot of sort of mental energy to get you into the right state to be so controlled, and it's just really relaxing, and you feel, I guess, really at one with the ocean.
Georgia, you won a scholarship through the Lane Beachley Foundation.
Yeah, so there's a citizen science group called RedMap, and I was doing a lot of just uploading photographs of them, documenting out-of-range fish species, and they suggested to me that I applied for the Lane Beachley Foundation for a grant, and I actually got one of the grants. So I used part of the money from my grant to buy a camera lens, which I actually won the Australian Geographic photographic competition with.
Some of the photos you take and the work you do when you're out in the ocean is helping scientists at the moment, right, through RedMap?
Yeah, so I do work for RedMap, is a citizen science group which is documenting species out of range. So each year we've got the East Australian current, and basically what's happening is we're getting tropical fish come down in that current, and they start out as little juveniles, and what would normally happen as we get into winter, those species would die off, but with global warming and the water's being warmer for longer, they're actually surviving and they're getting bigger and establishing.
So that's really cool. You're 17 and you're helping scientists with their actual research.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Sometimes I just need to take a moment to actually think about, these people actually trust me with being able to do quite a bit of work. So.
Georgia, what would you say to other girls that want to do what you do or want to get into science?
For me personally, a lot of people have been really encouraging, and definitely because there's not a lot of other females who do it, they really like to see it. So yeah, it's absolutely awesome being in the water and around the water. And it's real interesting, and so much you can learn, and so many different people you meet who are also like-minded, and yeah, it's just good.
Take a deep breath. Whales can dive hundreds of meters under the water and can hold their breath for 30 to 120 minutes, depending on the species. That's like the length of a movie. Turtles beat all of these animals though. A sea turtle can rest underwater for up to 7 hours. Some freshwater turtles even hibernate underwater for months. Their lungs are really good at storing oxygen.
I'm here on Moreton Island in Queensland. It's a beautiful day, the sun is shining, the ocean's lapping at my feet, and there's a cool breeze blowing. But I'm not here for a holiday. Oh no. You see, Moreton Island is home to the wild bottlenose dolphin. That's right. Some of you may say that they're joyful, magical, intelligent creatures, but I have a completely rational fear of dolphins.
Okay, well, it's a rational fear to me.
That's right. And I'm here to face my fear of these suspicious clowns of the sea. The dolphins usually come close to the shore to feed in the early evening. And I'm feeling a little nervous, so let me just explain. It's not that I'm terrified of dolphins or afraid of them as such. It's more that I think that they're going to get up and walk out of the ocean one day and take over the world. So while we're waiting, here are my top 5 reasons why I'm afraid of dolphins. Number 1, they're athletic. Dolphins can breach, kind of like a whale, but they can literally leap meters out of the water. I don't know about you, but I can't jump that high. 2, they're intelligent. Dolphins are considered one of the most intelligent or the most intelligent creatures on the planet. I don't know about you, but what happens if they become more intelligent than us humans? 3, underwater. Dolphins breathe air through blowholes in the top of their head, and they come up for air like every 2 or 3 minutes. But they can hold their breath for about 7 or 8 minutes.
Oh man, I only lasted like 30 seconds.
4, they use tools. Dolphins don't have hands as such, but they've been seen to use tools. They've been seen to cover their noses in sponges so they don't scrape it on the sea floor, or use shells to trap fish. They're so smart. 5, communication. They send vocal messages in lots of ways. They whistle, they trill, they moan, they grunt, just like us. The pattern and the duration of these communications will vary depending on what they're trying to communicate. They also have visual communication, like tail slaps, clapping, and jumping. And generally, they seem to be fun-loving, smart, happy, good-looking, playful creatures, which just makes me extra suspicious. It's time to talk to someone who hangs out with these guys most days and see what they're really like.
So I'm here with Jess.
Hi, Jess.
Hi.
She's an eco-ranger on Moreton Island. So what's your favourite thing about dolphins, Jess?
I would have to say my favourite thing would be how intelligent they are. A lot of people seem to underestimate just how smart dolphins actually are, when really they have a larger brain than we do.
So do they live and work together in teams?
Usually, yes. You will see pods from anywhere of 2 to 1,000. Now, here in the bay, they will be slightly smaller pods because obviously if you had a pod of 100 dolphins in the one area, there wouldn't be enough fish for them. And they also stay together to cooperative hunt.
So how would you describe their personalities? Do they have personalities?
Definitely. Each dolphin is very different. So for example, with our alpha females and our alpha males, you'll normally see they're quite dominant and quite strong personalities, but also you'll get the very playful dolphins and also the very timid ones as well.
What are some of the activities that these dolphins do?
Normally, different behaviour that you'll see here in the bay actually includes spy hops, when the dolphin will pop their head above the water to get a 360 view of any fish that are breaching.
Like a periscope?
Yes.
See? I knew they couldn't be trusted.
Cool. Often you will see some of the dolphins just here in the feed area popping their head up to have a look at what's going on the beach. And if you're lucky enough, sometimes you get to see pufferfish play, which is when the young calves will use a little pufferfish or perhaps even a bit of seaweed. They will terrorize the pufferfish until he puffs himself up in defense, and then they will pass him nose to nose and use him like a little toy.
It's like pufferfish ping pong.
Exactly, but they do know not to eat him because he is very toxic to them.
Oh my goodness. So what do they eat?
Normally, what's usually on the menu for our dolphins is a solid diet of fish, but they have been known to eat squid and cuttlefish as well.
Ugh, gross. So should we go feed them?
I think so.
I might be smiling, but it's just for show. Here goes. Time to face my fear.
So what we'll do after 3, 1, 2, 3, fish into the water. Here he comes, well done. And I'll give you another one. Now the alpha female Tinkerbell is feeding beside you as well. Yep, go ahead, fish into the water. Here he comes, well done.
That's insane.
And pop that under the water.
Okay, maybe they're not quite as bad as I made out. In fact, that was kind of cool. But I still think they might just jump out of the water and take over the world one day.
Absolutely.